From the Riffs!
Welcome to From the Riffs. This is Carmen Blair. Big Will Johnson's not here today because it's the last day of the Palladium Open House and he had to leave early. So I'm doing these ones alone. This is my good friend Lonnie Langston. He's been at every Palladium Open House. He makes things a blast. His games are awesome. He plays late into the freaking mornings and keeps you up. And I don't know how many of these things he's kept me up way past when I should have went to sleep. He's a big rooter for Palladium. You're into it. You want to just introduce yourself and give him an idea about why you like Palladium, what you're into.
Well, I'm Lonnie Langston. I've been playing Palladium games since I was 7 years old, which was about 86, 87-ish. When I first started, my brother got me into it. He was a big Robotech fan of the cartoons. Picked up the role-playing books and D&D and that kind of stuff. He was into that, and kind of just took off. We hit Robotech. He hit Riffs, and the first time I seen a Riffs book, I just fell in love with the Dog Boy picture. It was one of the first things I remember seeing. It had the Wolverine, vibro claws. I was like, oh, Wolverine's favorite. I'm a big X-Men fan, so. And it just kind of spiraled into that. I can still remember the first games I played, and it was just, I was a 7-year-old kid. I was just wanting to run around, blow stuff up. Yep. Playing Lancers Rockets. I was like, hell yeah, I'm playing guitar and shooting things.
Blowing it up.
It started with Robotech, and it just kind of it snowballed, and it really became one of those things. Like Riffs came along, and it was like, oh, it's just like Robotech. It's just something, different setting, different world.
Cooler, more powerful, and all that kind of stuff.
It's just the setting thing. It's like, here's Robotech. It's based on this cartoon. Here's this other thing. It's just like everything. Here's your fantasy. Here's your horror and that kind of stuff. So it just developed and moved on.
Are you mostly play Riffs, or do you play other things as well?
Truthfully, I play a lot of different games. Most Palladium games I do own and have ran at various points in my life. I also have played other systems. I try a lot of things out. A
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I kind of like system porn a little bit, as I like to call it. I just like to try it out, just to see what the people are doing, just to see what mechanics are out there. Because I know the Palladium system, a lot of people, and even myself included, there's some system stuff, it's just kind of I just don't feel it. But
it's easy to tweak it the way you want it.
You come down to a lot of other games, and then it's like I do always come back. It's just, I know it's my first role-playing game. It's my first system I learned, and therefore it's just, I have the experience. I know how to just tear it off.
It's the one you keep coming home to. Mm-hmm. Now, so you're basically saying that you're mostly the GM, but do you play too at home, or are you always in the GM seat?
Sadly, I do feel like I'm mostly GMing all the time, just because, for the most part, I'm kind of the driving force to getting people together and playing and that kind of stuff.
Who usually ends up being the GM, right? If you're the guy getting everyone going.
Then it turns into babysitting, and the other thing on it too is I know if everybody goes through funks and that kind of stuff, and I've had some issues with lately my players, and it's just been like sometimes it's just all they want to do is blow shit up, and they don't care about what's going on, and they're just like, feed me the next line, and it's. So, and truthfully, I've actually haven't been role playing
down the railroad. Juju.
It's like one sense, like I don't want to do that, but that's what they want in a way too. So it's like, okay, I'm getting away from it. I actually do a play-by-post. I created a play-by-post website.
Okay.
And palladiumnights.com, and I did it to bring together everybody because the internet's kind of fractured, and just kind of give everybody a home to come to and play, and not have to feel like somebody's lording over you or anything like that. It's just come and play, do your own thing.
Do you play at home? Do you go to a lot of conventions, or is this the only one?
The open house is a big one I do. Gencon, I live in Indianapolis, so I do Gencon. It's like I said, I drive. It's between me and my work, truthfully, so it's shorter drive to go to Gen Con than
I wish I can't get to Gen Con because half the time it's long for me to get there, and I can't afford it and go do other stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Outside of that, I have done various other cons. I think it's odd because people come up here to the open house, and at Gen Con, I'll be behind the booth and behind the table, and with the Palladium people. And just as you came up and said to me this earlier this week, you're like, didn't you write a book, or you don't do any art and stuff like that? And I had an idea about doing a book and stuff like that, but
yeah, because we mentioned it, and then that was the last thing I heard about it. And sometimes when it comes to what's in development, I don't always hear about it. So I figured, okay, yeah, he's working on that right now.
And I mean, it came one of those things like it was a nice idea, but it never came to be.
But you're still always kind of in the Palladium family.
But I'm always still there, and one of the things is I started. There was a big thing when the whole crisis issue happened and stuff like that, and Kevin was starting to kick off and starting to hit like some conventions and stuff like that. Just got the Robotech license again. There was I know I did a con called Con that's up here in Detroit, North area, and
I showed up to that.
It was just after they got the Robotech license. And they wanted somebody to come up and GM stuff, and I was like, well, it's an anime con, I can do Robotech, I'll be there. Boom, I'm gone, And that's kind of one of the things I think that why I, able to walk behind the booth and not get chased out of there, because I did, I just, help.
You've been there when he's needed you.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of those conventions compared to come to the open house? Like, how do you?
Well, every convention's different. Like the Con, it's an anime con. So if you're not an anime person,
it's
not for you. It didn't have a whole lot of role playing. I mean, I really felt like I was the only one there doing role playing games.
Well, what I meant is how do you compare the feel at the open house to the feel at a convention? Like, because one, there's a lot less people here, and they're all into Palladium. Does that make it more welcoming to you, or
Oh, I mean, definitely on that level, just because. You got the people, you're not running into something where you're like, well, I like D&D and I like Palladium, and then you butt into that kind of stuff. So you already got that common ground of we love Palladium, so we don't have to worry about trying to find what you like. But at the other end of it too, it doesn't feel like it's coming down to being a business thing. Where these other cons, it's like it is all about business. Gencon is all about making business. It's all about selling products, making connections, and seeing what everybody else is doing, and just. Doing the playing the game and doing the business.
Yeah, there's a lot of shuffle and bustle there.
And I almost feel like, people just don't get to calm down and enjoy a lot of things.
So I take it you do like the Palladium Open House better?
I do like the open house. I mean, it's one of those things like this year I talked about people who I don't talk to about the gaming and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I'm going to Detroit, and then it's like, oh, it's a gaming convention, and hang out, but I'm just really going to go up here and hang out with a bunch of my friends. It's just like hang out with my friends for like 4 or 5 days, and I don't get to talk to all the time.
Did you run a lot of cool stuff, or did you run one thing, or did you just play, or tell the folks what you did?
Well, this year I ran 3 Dead Ring games, Friday, a Saturday, and Sunday game. It was the same game, but the way I did it was going to be different because
it sort of evolves.
Well, every game, the players were playing themselves, and like I told people like just kind of stat yourself. And you were in the first one. It was crazy. And even I had some people that were in that first game with you that they showed up. They were just in my last third game. I just got done with it, and it was a different game completely. And that's just, part of it is, you got different people, so they're bringing
different stuff.
They're playing themselves, so everybody's different. They're bringing different, that to the table. I did have I kind of felt kind of weird. I was like Scooby-Doo, like a happy ending, a evil ugly ending, and a so-so ending. So that was kind of in there, but even the stuff in between wasn't all that different, action-wise. But when it came down to it, it was the way the players played. That first game you played into, everybody just fractured and shattered. And we had 10
every
people,
way.
And everybody just went every which different way and did their own thing. There were small groupings. The second game, it came in, and it was one of those things where people were already had little groups. I had like a pair, and I had another pair, and I had a trio, so that wasn't an issue.
Don't listen to these guys. They don't know anything.
Yeah. Go write me a book.
For all of you didn't know, that was Kevin that just jumped through. We'll be getting him on camera later.
And then this last game, I had, the first 2 games I had 1 table. This last game I had to pull 3 tables in. I can't remember how many people I had.
Yeah,
15, I think, maybe closer to 20. And instead of, like for the first game, fractured. Second game, small groupings. This last game, everybody was like a solid unit. They were rolling down a street, chasing the car like a presidential vehicle, escorting it. And it was just like, okay, this is getting amazing. But it changed. It got gritty. It got nasty. But my whole thing, it's kind of funny. The secret in my con games is I take a song, like I'll just be listening to music and I'll hear a song or something like that, and it might trip something in my head, like this would make a great campaign, like either I have the name or the lyrics in the song. And Amy Ashbaugh, the artist for freelance artist, her boyfriend has a band, Undead Viking Mafia.
Undead Viking Mafia.
That right there kind of just like, okay, it's a metal band out of Atlanta. Well, he has a song called HMS Romero, and it's when I first heard this CD, I'm like, this song is great. It really hooked me, but I really didn't listen closely to the words. And I was talking to me, he's like, it's all about zombies. Because it has a real dark, like, dark outlook on humanity. It makes you feel like that. But there's a line in the song, like, at the end that just trips it to where it's all about zombies. And I'm sitting there listening to this song, and I really like the song, and I'm like, I could do a Dead Ring game on this.
Yeah. And
then I started doing it, and then it developed into the game I ran, and it turned out to be fun. He ran in the first game with you, and this last game I just got done running, and he enjoyed him. He was
back in.
Yeah, had a big old smile on his face and loved him both times. So I'm doing something right, I guess. If people are happy, and
So how did you enjoy it? We're almost out of time. Like, did you at least get into any game, and did you have a good time yourself too?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where I did play in one game. You dragged me over into Levi Johnstone. I'm sorry. Played in fantasy game, and I didn't really even get to play a whole lot of time on that. And really, when I come to these things, I don't play a whole lot.
You just get stuck GMing again.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I do GM, I do play, but I almost feel like I GM so much that I don't make a good player sometimes.
But did you have a good time though?
Oh yeah, I mean I enjoyed coming up here. I mean even when I was kind of bored and sitting around just yakking to people. I mean the people I get to yak to, I don't have these people at home. I can call them on the phone, but you just don't see them every day. So it's nice to sit down, be able to talk to them, and just have a conversation. Go get a drink, go get something to eat, whatever, and just relax.
Well, it was great having you, and I'm glad you came and sat for interview for From the Riffs. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.
And Carmen Blair,
Lonnie Langston,
and that was From the Riffs. See you later.